but Robert Ladd is our OER expert / coordinator / go-to person. And today we're learning about PanOpen, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
I don't want to turn it over to Robert.
Yeah, thanks everyone for being here. Danny, I know that there may be some people that kind of join as we go. That does happen, and it does look like a small group today, but this will be embedded in our OER webpage. So as we go through the catalog, if you just, if you're thinking to yourself, who all might use this catalog, what might I have to offer them, we get a lot more traffic on to our webpage and through those recordings. And that's kind of what we're aiming at, is to create an informational structure for anyone who's looking to find OER and who they can work with to create it. That being said, I'll just introduce Danny and PanOpen real quick. They are an OER facilitator who I worked with personally to create the Ancient and Early World Literature textbook. They have a great array of text already, but what they also provide is some pretty interesting and universal design for learning, sort of optimized content that goes beyond what a normal textbook would do. So with that being said, I'll let Danny take over.
Thank you, Rob. Yes, as Rob was mentioning, PanOpen Education, it's a delivery platform, delivery and content platform, and we work both with faculty or publishers to actually make sure that their content is available and is delivered in a more exciting and engaging way. That's literally one of our mottos. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Danny Santamaria. I am the Director for Customer Success at PanOpen Education. I've been working with the company since 2019, and we are now going to be checking into some of the titles that we have. Most of our catalogs are actually OER based, which means that you can use them as you better see fit. You can edit them, remix and reorder them, and basically just customize them to the teaching style that you have, to the way that you like providing stuff and information to your students, and just overall making sure that your course materials are just what you really need for the syllabus and the way that you want your students to go through the content. So, Rob, I'm not sure if I have a screen sharing permissions right now. I'll just have a couple of slides that I would like to go through.
You should have the ability to share now. Sorry.
Okay, great. It's okay. Let me just. All right, here we go. Right. So as I was mentioning, we are going to be going through our OER-based catalog. This means that we have several. Let me just. Okay. We have several titles that are based on OER content, and what we basically do is that we enhance them and make sure that they are more interactive, can be more engaging. And our platform also offers a couple of other features like edition capabilities, remixing, reordering, whatnot. And we will go through those on the next session, where we're actually going to be going through the information of the actual platform and it's just a very short, quick demo. However, as I was mentioning, we are working to deliver exciting and engaging learning materials. This actually can help faculty to make sure that their students are more engaged, which usually leads to having students doing better in their courses and having better grades at the end of them. We empower educators and learners by using blended content that can be open, custom designed, licensed materials, and your own institutional resources. We also offer curriculum services where we deliver or offer custom content development, curation, and instructional design. And lastly, we also have or are a delivery platform that can integrate with most LMSs, or at least the most used ones. In this case, we are integrating with Canvas, Moodle, Blackboard, and D2L. And all of that content is modular, with it allows you or faculty to adapt, redeploy, and remix information as they see fit. This, of course, it's going to be taking your classes materials into a next level and just making sure that you have a more social, emotional, and geographical connection to learning. This comes really handy, especially when it is an asynchronous online class where, I mean, we barely have lectures right now. So this actually makes the student feel more connected into the actual class and with the professor. Three takeaways that we have seen ever since we actually started is that online learning is not simply a classroom learning put online. It's more information that you need to actually make sure that your students understand, and that it's a little bit harder to understand if there are no lectures or no actual live calls, let's say. The different mix of institutions in the States and elsewhere just make things actually more heterogeneous, and you can or could actually pick and choose what works from you, ever since the licenses allow that, as of course, to make sure that you are teaching in the way that you would like to and that you prefer that. And the tuition pricing power and the allure of physical payments, it's just coming to an end, as you guys know. Way back when we were in college in an undergraduate, we used to just have to go to the library and have to work around with a lot of difficult, heavy books and copies and whatnot. That's not something that we need anymore, as we have everything here or on our computers that we always have with us. Now, we have a lot of, and actually, of course, I'm not showing the correct screen now. We have several different subject areas where we have titles on, and they range from anything from science to political science, social sciences, humanities, economics, math, and businesses. All of this information can be actually found in our online catalog, which is located on our website, panopen.com. You can just navigate there and navigate through the content that we have available and that you could actually use right away. Most of our content is already completed, and it has embedded items like embedded videos, embedded check your understanding questions, embedded your end of chapter questions, and even slide presentations, both for key term flashcards and actually for teaching slides that could also be used as well. The coolest thing about the platform is that faculty can decide what students have access to. So if you don't want them to have access to a particular item for the entirety of the class, or just until one particular time and date for that class, then that actually means that you can do that, and you can decide what they have access to, how they can use it, when they can use it. And of course, we have like the usual information about due dates, release dates, and whatnot. Now, we do not only have already titles that are already ready to use, but we can also work with faculty, just like we did with Rob, to ingest their content, either content that they already have or content that they are working on, based on a grant, based on their own research, based on their own information that they're going around. And this actually allows us to have an ever-growing kind of library that can be expanding just as much as the users make changes to them. The one of the best parts of the process actually about ingesting content is getting together with the author and kind of figuring out what they would like the information to look like, and making sure that it's actually going to be the correct information in the correct layout. So it's going to make the most sense to students when they go through the information. I'm sure Rob would have a lot of different stories about when we were going through the ingestion of his ancient literature textbook. And just it's like there's just something cool to the whole process of actually going through the whole process, is having a Word document or PDF file, or however you might be working on that, and then seeing the final product in the correct way, in the way that you want that to be, and how you can actually get that from just written words and make sure that it looks the exact way that you want it to be and how you envision that, or even better, depending on, of course, the suggestions that we provide, which are always suggestions. It doesn't mean that they have to be used that way, that they have to be done in that particular way. We are always just providing suggestions to make sure that the content that is being ingested is going to be shown in the best way that we think can be shown and used, but the final word would always be on the author side, since that's their decision. Now, let me just go very quickly into our website, and I will show you guys what I mean about the catalog and how you guys can just go through the information and decide what you would like to use. As I already said, we have a couple of different categories, but most of them are humanities and social sciences. And most of our titles are actually based on OpenStax or OpenStax's titles. So what we do is that we basically make them, let's say, better than a PDF. And this is, for example, how the catalog looks right now. We have the different categories here, as I was mentioning: business, economics, humanities, science, and social sciences. We also have, well, the view all option, where we can see that we have a wide range of different titles. We have, for example, American Government, both the second and third edition, anatomy and physiology, ancient and early literature that Rob was working on. We also have astronomy, biology, business, chemistry, when we even have some basic general education courses like college successes, for example. One of our biggest titles right now is the Essentials of Anatomy and Physiology. If there are any anatomy and physiology faculty here or watching this, you know that it's usually split into different semesters due to the length of the content that's being covered. And what we did is that we actually took both volumes of anatomy and physiology for semester 1 and semester 2 and brought them together into just one course that can be described kind of like a crash course, and it could be taught into just one single semester instead of actually having to spread that into multiples of them. Now, remember that all of this content is readily available, and anyone can actually go into the library and check at the actual table of contents, just as we're seeing right here. And by expanding them, you can also have a glimpse of the actual structure that each chapter has. In this case, for example, chapter 1 has 3 different sections. Then this is the item or the icon that identifies the check your understanding questions that we have already embedded. The red icons, as you probably guessed, are embedded videos that we already have there. And as I was mentioning, the slide presentations are represented by the yellow icons, just like these ones. And in this case, we have the key term flashcards and the teaching slides that can be used as the faculty better see fit. Now for the quizzes, they are identified by this purple check mark, and they are always at the end of the chapter. The faculty that usually use our activities that are already embedded to score their students on their classes are usually using only the end of chapter quizzes and leaving all these other check your understanding questions as practice questions. But that's definitely something that can be up to each one of them, and each user actually decides what they want using or not, and into the textbook or not, and as part of the grade or not. All of that can be, again, modified, moved around, remixed, and customized as you better see fit. Now, I don't want to actually go a lot into the platform itself, as we are going to go through that in the next session on Friday. But that is basically what I wanted to show you guys today, how we have over 53 ready-to-use courses. Ready-to-use means that they have already embedded videos, questions, and slides. And then we have some other courses that are only content, or some other courses that are missing a couple of those features, like check your understanding questions or end of chapter quizzes. And it's up to anyone to decide how much or how little they would like to use from any of our titles that are entirely free to look around, check on, and even start customizing, as getting an account in PanOpen for a faculty has no cost at all. So yeah, that is what I actually had for you today. It's rather a very short presentation, as we're just talking about the titles that we have. As I mentioned, we have several different categories. If there's something that you are interested in, please feel free to email me or just contact our support team at support@panopen.com. That way, anyone on the customer support team can get a hold of that and help you with any questions that you might have regarding costs, regarding the titles that we have available, regarding any specific title that you might be looking for, or even just to get an account and start looking around the titles and how the platform works. And who knows, maybe start using PanOpen for your classes in the next term or so.
Hey, Danny, just ask a couple of questions that I think maybe other people may have, I guess is what I mean.
Sure.
So in terms of, let's say I'm a faculty member and I want to, say, teach the anatomy and physiology book, either the, sort of abridged one or the not abridged one. But, I want to do it in a different order, or I want to add some stuff in from my own course, my own work that I've done. Is it a possibility for me to take any one of these titles and remix it, add in my own, or maybe even play with, add in different videos to create my own version of it?
Right. Yes, that's definitely a possibility, as those titles, or that title specifically, is OER based. Anyone has the ability, anyone has the ability to make changes to it, but our platform does offer the possibility for you to, let's say, if there's a video that you prefer to use instead of the one that we already have there, it can be modified. You can actually replace that with no issue. It's literally just copying the URL from, let's say, YouTube, and then putting it there, and then the video gets embedded as if it was already part of the textbook. And what you were mentioning about remixing features, yes, that's also something that can be done. Let's say that, for example, you are going to be teaching a 1 semester or a 1 term class of anatomy and physiology, but you're not entirely in love with the development that we did for the essentials of anatomy and physiology. You could take like both volumes of like current volumes of anatomy and physiology and mix in what you think should it like that particular class should have. So let's say chapters 1 through 5 from volume 1, and then chapters 5 to 10 from volume 2, and then you can put them together, remix them, put them in the correct order that you think they should go, and then boom, you have your own version of anatomy and physiology for that 1 term class, and you made it your own. And the best thing about it is that it shouldn't take longer than 10 minutes because you are just dragging and dropping information, which we will see on Friday.
Right. Let's say then, I go through the titles and I don't see something that fits my course. For instance, math seems to be something that isn't here yet. Or let's say I'm working on an OER speech course, which I know some of the faculty in here are, and I am making this on my own, but I see PanOpen and what PanOpen can offer by, putting all of these features together and helping me maintain that all together. How difficult is it to take the work that I'm already doing and turn this into a PanOpen? What is that process for beginning that creation, and how hard is it?
Sure. So the process itself, it's not that hard, as we can ingest files that are already done. So let's say that that particular content, it's already on Word files or Google Doc files, or they're already on PDF files for any reason. We can actually take those files, ingest them, and then style them as well. We can always style them to make sure that they look just like our titles, our current titles do, or we can style them entirely different depending on what the author says and what the author would like them to look like. It usually, it depends on, of course, the number of pages, how many sections, like if it will have embedded videos or not, if there are presentations or not, if there are already questions created that should also be embedded or not. So the length of the process can vary depending on the actual title and the actual content that is being ingested, but it usually doesn't take longer than a month to have everything already ingested in there. And that includes QA, like the QA process, to make sure that there are no typos, that everything's correct, that the references match, that the styling is correct, that the sections are split in the correct order, that the videos, slides, and questions are embedded in the correct section as well. And even after everything's done, it can just be changed again, because that's the beauty of OER, that it can adapt and become something different with time to make sure that it actually adapts to what's going to be taught.
Great. Last question I have, and then we'll see. Then maybe some other people have questions too. In terms of OER and cost, a big push for us in terms of equity is, of course, providing either free or very low cost texts. I happen to know this from experience, but just, for the record on camera, I guess. What is that negotiation process, and what is your process working with faculty when we have, to say a specific number we need to keep the text at or under?
Sure. So negotiations, negotiations are always personalized. So I cannot say that it's always going to be $20 or $15 or 10 or 5 or whatever the amount that people might have on their mind is. but it's a negotiation that can happen. So currently, students have a set fee of $35 to access our courses on the platform. Your course is a special case based to the grant and to the actual negotiation that we had. So there's a different discounted price for that one. But the common price is $35. That's the usual for everyone. Negotiations can happen, and prices can change depending on volume, depending on the number of students that are going to have, depending on registered users and whatnot. So all of those factors come into play, and that is what can have the amount modified for students. Because faculty don't have any cost whatsoever associated to getting an account or to going into the actual content for the titles.
Those were the 3 questions that I had that I wanted to make sure got answered. So if there are any other questions for Danny and PanOpen.
That's right. I was going to be asking about that. So thank you about that. Let me just go here. I'm going to leave my company email right here, dsantamaria@panopen.com. I can always be reached out through email at any point. I'm usually very responsive, and Rob can attest to that.
Usually within a few minutes, yeah.
Usually within a few minutes, but if anything, I will be just replying like within 24 hours if it's just one of those crazy days with meetings all day and whatnot. Remember that you can always go into our website as well, panopen.com. We have the catalog there. We have more information about our company, how we do, what processes, how we do them. And you can always reach out to us as well through the live chat that we have available there, or through email, as I was mentioning before, support@panopen.com.
Thank you very much, Danny. I'm going to go ahead